All right, Shalom. First and foremost, all praise and glories unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Harakhakwadash, that belong to our apostles, the bishops, the elders of the great millstone who teach, guide, and rule well. And greetings, salutations, blessings, much love unto you, hopeful elect. Shalom unto you. Or your brother Shaquad with a video here, and just want to as the Olympic Games are rounding to a close, there is some edification that can come out of it. I guess maybe even if it's just a sign of the times that we're living in. Okay. Um, so let me see here. Let me see if I do this. What happens? All right. Yeah. So we've seen a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Blasphemy. Okay, from the parody of the opening games to um, men fighting women in or should I say, trans fighting, um, you know, in the in the Olympic Games. Like no matter what level that you put this thing on, it's always been a joke. Okay, what I mean by that is when men fight women, it's a joke. Okay, we all biologically and scientifically understand that there's a difference. But this is the perversion that the world has agreed upon. Okay, so we know that there has to be a return of order to the world. Okay, and that's what we prophesy about. All right, but since we're here, some of the edification that comes of this. Um, let's start with the lady on the left. Okay, I don't want to, because she has some very offensive words, and we know how sensitive YouTube can be. So I don't want to show too much of that. And this is planned on being uploaded to YouTube. I believe she was a former Navy SEAL, or I don't know if it was what she was, special op or what. I don't know, but they got pictures even in this video of her in military uniform, holding big guns and all these other things. And I think she's a congresswoman now or something to that effect, holds some chair or something to that effect. But as the statement, as I got the closed caption on, it says a man hit a woman. It used to land him in the word she used right there is jail, right? But now you get a gold medal. And like, this is crazy, the fact that they even allowed this in these games. But if they're allowing that in these games, and I'm talking about the boxing, for you that saw the boxing situation. And I think I forgot the opponent, uh, born woman was she just kind of quit. She trained to fight all these other women, and then she came against a trans, and all of a sudden, she just kind of, after like seconds into the fight, she just walked off and quit. She didn't want to fight anymore, because the strength and just the difference. Okay, and there's pictures all over the internet of that. You can find that easily, no problem. Okay, but to make the point, you look here on the left, and this was the opening ceremony right here. And it says social media users accuse the drag queens of ridiculing Christianity by replicating the Last Supper. And this is what we're seeing. And it became the plate that was on there was an abomination. That's all I can say. If you can find that picture as well, you know. But we'll go to the headlines of this. It says apparent drag parody of Last Supper at Paris 2024 Olympics opening ceremony sparks controversy. Okay, it just shows you the world we're living in. Okay, it's what this actually does. It shows you the world we now live in. Okay, so what I'm gonna do in this video is I'm gonna pull out some of the origins of where this stuff comes from. Whether it be the Olympic Games, and I'm even gonna tie it into something spiritual at the end, with Quincy Hall's run Okay, his comeback victory. Okay, I'll tie that in at the end. So Lord willing, this is edifying. All right. So we'll read the bottom with you that this was connected to that the Last Supper parody, right? And why is that a joke? That's not a joke at all. This is just shows you how much they don't care about a belief system. Okay, and even in these times, now that you so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, you're the Israelites. Now that you're coming back to your identity, it's even a bigger joke. Okay, to the world, they think they want to make light of it. They don't want to take it seriously. You know, the jokes used to Edomites have always joked about religion, and even though they put their self up as a face of the Most High and His only begotten Son, it still always reigned kind of like a joke. And then in the black church, it's been a joke. Okay, the black church has been laughed at in society for centuries. But when you take it in all seriousness, which you that are coming back into the understanding that you're a Hebrew Israelite, speaking of you Negro, Latinos, and Natives, hey, now, now it's being mocked all over the world on the biggest athletic stage. Okay, but when you get into this, you start to see why. All right. It said public reaction. Social media erupted with accusations that the performance ridiculed Christianity by mimicking the Last Supper. The criticisms, Clint Russell says, and this is crazy, opening your event by replacing JC and the disciples at the Last Supper with men in drag. Elon Musk said, extremely disrespectful to Christians. Slammed, right? He slammed it. I guess that's what they call it now. Marion Marakel, I don't know how to say that name. It says, to all the Christians of the world who are watching the Paris 2024 ceremony and felt insulted by the drag queen parody of the Last Supper, know that it is not France that is speaking, but a left-wing minority ready for any provocation. Yeah, to provoke, that's what it means, right? So that all sounds cool, but the world wasn't outraged. People said things on social media, but where's the outrage? How come NBC and all the channels? I don't know what they're playing on. The Olympic Games are playing on. I catch clips here and there on YouTube, but they're not banning it from anything. Okay, that should be taken off. That they should be something that keeps it. But this goes in line to the original empires that kept this practice in the ancient world. Okay, so let's get into that a little bit. Okay, I googled what are the 4 empires in the book of Daniel, right? Just for easy visuals, and they have it correct: the Babylonian Empire, the Medo-Persian Empire, the Greek Empire, and the Roman Empire. Okay, and so you learn to understand that the Greeks and the Romans, the Greco-Roman, those were Edomites that rose up in those power structures. Okay, and how do you know that? Well, let's go to the book of Maccabees. Okay, this is First Maccabees chapter 1, and it happened after that that Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, whatever, had smitten Darius, king of Persia, and of the Persians and Medes, and he reigned in his stead the first over Greece. Okay, so it shows you that's when the Persians and the Medes went down, and the Greeks. And this is secular history, right?
Philip II of Macedon was the king of the ancient kingdom of Macedonia from 359 BC until his death in 336 BC.
Yeah, 359. Okay, this is a basic Google. All right, so this was real. Okay, and it's funny because even the images, they don't necessarily have the curly hair like you'll see in some of the other photos, like this one here. It has him looking curly, but Nah, man, we know better. All right. Look, war general. All right. Macedon. Okay. You got all the Cleopatra. They got all the different ones, right? And it goes right into the history of it. Okay. And the scriptures, um, conquest of Greece. How did Philip conquest Greece? The rise of the of Macedon um, included its conquest and political consolidation of most of classical Greece during his reign, was achieved by his reformation of the army. And when you start picking up characteristics, and you know the characteristics of Edomites, they're warriors, okay, and hunters. It said the establishment of the Macedonian phalanx that proved critical in securing victories on the battlefield. His extensive use of siege engines, okay, and Wikipedia continues to go deeper into it, right? Let's click on it. That's what we pick up right there. And use of effective diplomacy and marriage alliances. Okay, he conquered places by with marriage. You know, getting in there and then having. And I know his daughter was in something. Okay, I wonder if they're gonna go into that. But for look, they show it all here. Alexander the Second. Look, they got it all in here. So this shows you the secular history that it has. This is just Philip the Second of Macedon, right? Right here, the first recorded Olympic Games were held in 776 BC at Olympia, Greece. During the religious festival to honor the god Zeus, the games were held which we know that's an idol, right? The games were held every 4 years and featured competition between Greek city-states who set aside their differences to compete peacefully, right? The same ritual goes on now. The games included events such as wrestling and pentathlon, something like that. Pentathlon, I think that's how you say it, and races of various lengths. All right. Yep. And that's a modern Olympics, but we wanted the old Olympics, right? And that was even in the 1800s with these Greece. The first modern Olympics were held in Athens, Greece, in 1896. The man responsible for its rebirth was Frenchman named Baron Pierre de Coubertin, something I don't know how to say that, who presented the idea in 1894. They're bringing it back to set aside differences, I'm pretty sure. Okay, but we know 776. So that's that's the rule of the Greeks. Now, let me prove it. I feel this is interesting for anyone paying attention, or if thou canst tell. Ancient Greek civilization is estimated to have lasted from 1200 to 1300 years, beginning around 800 BCE. So that's before the first Olympics in 776 or whatever year that was. I forgot that fast. And ending around 500 CE. Okay, the civilization's start is marked by the beginning of the Archaic period, which followed the Greek Dark Age that began after the collapse of the Mycenaean Greek culture around 1100 BCE. The end of ancient Greece, and this is key right here, the end of ancient Greece is marked by the fall of the Roman Empire and the rise of the Byzantine Empire. So when you're following the timeline, that's why it's also called the Greco-Roman Empire. Okay? Greco-Roman, because Edomites ran both of those empires, and it almost just like translated if you really saw how it went down. Now there were wars that marked that, like the movie 300 goes right into the end of the Medo-Persian Empire into the Greek Empire. Okay, and that's why a key scene in the first 300 movie, it had those Jakes of oh my gosh, the Spartans. Okay, having the being mighty warriors and all of that, and having a standard of life, moral compass, if you will, of life. Moving on, but in the second movie, they had how many soldiers did you bring, versus how many I brought. I brought more soldiers. Okay, so all of that has a lot to do with the way who was in the world at the time, who was ruling in the world. Okay, when you look at the movie. Okay, the other Greeks were many number. Okay, but they followed certain traditions. Is the point that I'm making here. Okay, it's a 2,000 years here, so they don't know. All right. Right here, 800 to 146, and when it fell to Rome, okay, gives me a more straightforward answer. Okay, but we know that Rome also picked, but as I brought up here, they connected the two empires. The Byzantine came after the Roman Empire, the ancient Roman Empire. So coming back here in the first Maccabees, now this is setting the stage to show you that the Apocrypha does have this Greek history in it. Okay, particularly here with the Maccabees. It says, and made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth. Okay, so he became the conqueror and went through the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that that the earth was quiet before him. Whereupon he was exalted and his heart was lifted up. Okay, and he gathered a mighty strong host and ruled over countries and nations and kings who became tributaries unto him. Okay, so he ruled, that was the ruling empire. Okay, as it prophesied in the book of Daniel, we showed you, right? And after these things he fell sick and perceived that he should die. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and he had brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. It says, so Alexander reigned 12 years and then died. Okay, and these are all major historical figures. Okay, secular, right? In secular history, right? It says, and his servants bear rule one in his place. And after his death, they all put crowns on themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. Okay, and as these evils were multiplied, you'll see. Yeah, I'll get to that. Let's get a quick historical presence right quick. All right, quick overview. AI, thank you. It says the four kingdoms that emerged after Alexander the Great's, or the Greeks' death in 321 BCE were Ptolemaic Kingdom of Egypt, King of the South, Seleucid Empire of the East, Kingdom of Pergamon in Asia Minor, and Macedon. Okay, these kingdoms stabilized the Hellenistic era, okay, which lasted until the rise of Rome in 31 BC. The notable Diadochi who ruled in these kingdoms were Ptolemy, Antigonus, right? Cassander and Seleucus, and their dynasty lasted for several centuries. Okay, so it's showing you this is what it's talking about in the this same time in the book of Maccabees. Wikipedia says Antiochus IV Epiphanes um, was a Greek Hellenistic king who ruled the Seleucid Empire from 175 BC until his death in 164 BC. He was the son of King Antiochus III. Okay, and that's why I said, and their sons after them. This is secular history. Okay, it said he destroyed the temple. Like that goes into it. What did Antiochus III do to the Jews? Hellenistic. Yeah, let's get into that word.
Hellenistic. Relating to Greek history, language, and culture from the death of Alexander the Great to the defeat of Cleopatra and Mark Antony by Octavian in 31 BC. During this period, Greek culture flourished, spreading through the Mediterranean and into the Near East and Asia, and centering on Alexandria in Egypt and Pergamum in Turkey.
Okay, shows you that they ruled those areas. Okay. Okay, Hellenistic. Okay, but they never truly gave the definition. Relating to Greek history, language, culture from the death. Okay, during this period, Greek culture flourished, and that's what happened. And when we get into more into the Maccabees, which I'm not going to go all the way deep into it, but just a part of the first chapter, the first Maccabees. But let's see if we can get another word.
To Wikipedia, Helen is a feminine name of Greek origin that means torch or light. It can also mean shining or warming.
The name of a solar deity, Helen is associated with the phrase "the face that launched 1,000 ships." Let's see if they got the other word, because they want to give me that one, of course. Okay, of course, right? AI. The Greek word Helen has multiple meanings. That's the feminine name. We don't want that one. The mythological. And then we'll get into Hellenism. It says, in Greek mythology, Helen is the ancestor of Hellenes, the name the Greeks used to refer to themselves. He is the son of Deucalion and Pera, the king of Pythia, a region at the northern end of the Gulf of Euboea, right? Helen's descendants, including the Aeolians, Dorians, Ionians, and Achaeans, established powerful city-states and made notable contributions to culture, politics, and military. Okay, and we're speaking of that culture. It's going to get into that in Maccabees, right? The significance of light in Helen's name may reflect the enlightened contributions of the ancient Greeks in philosophy, arts, and sciences. Yeah, right. And that's why it says, it's going to say, evil was multiplied in the earth. Okay, because they went away from the ancient righteous way of life. Okay, that was established by all the other heathen. Okay, but when the Edomites got in rule, that's when you can tell that way of life changed. Military, and then perversion. Okay, because when you go into what this period is into, a lot of perversion, man. Right? It says a term used in British English to describe the principal ideals and pursuits associated with classical Greek civilization. It can also refer to the spirit or national character of the Greeks, or conformity to, imitation of, or devotion to the culture of ancient Greeks. They will not speak negatively about it. See what that Wikipedia says. Is Eponymous, progenitor of the Hellenes, family. All right, it's going all into this, but this is all good information. It doesn't hurt to read these things. Okay, especially if you enjoy reading, there's mythology in it. Genealogy, that's whatever with that, right? And sometimes you'll get into this and you'll find all kinds of little details, little quirks and whatnot. Okay, That's where they get all their info from. So let's get back to the scriptures, because this is actually telling. I just did a little just some just kind of peek into it. Okay, so I went to the blue letter and got the word Greek, which is going to tie us back into this word. Mark 7:26, the KJV says, the woman was a Greek, a Syrophoenician by nation, and she besought him that he would cast forth the devil out of her daughter. And we know this is actually a Jake woman, that had Greek customs, that lived in the land of, she was a national citizen of Syrophoenicia, but she still was an Israelite through her father line. And there's lessons on that. But let's get this word, Greek. Hellenist. Right? That's how you would say it. A Greek woman, a Gentile woman, not a Jewess. That's not true. That's not true. Okay? That's what you would want to believe. What they would want you to believe. Like we know the blue letter goes off. But it says, I'm not sending but unto the house, the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Right? Let's see, they got these two words here, but let's see if we can get the other word for it. Let's see if they have the Helen. Okay, this is Helen. Okay, which was that word. A Greek either by nationality, whether a native of mainland or the Greek islands or colonies. In a wider sense, embraces all nations, not Jews, that made the language, customs, and learning of Greek their own. But it says not Jews. Why would it say that? But we were conquered, as I get deeper into the book of Maccabees, we were conquered by the Greeks. It said that Philip of Macedon conquered all of that whole land. Okay? That it was quiet. And when it's talking about being quiet, he conquered till there was peace. And what I mean by that's what it's talking about, quiet and peace, right? Meaning like nobody wanted to come up against him because they were in rulership and they became tributaries unto him, right? He conquered those. The primary reference is to a difference of religion and worship, right? And when you get into it, that's what they did, going deeper into the book of Maccabees, First Maccabees 1. They conquered the Israelites, and they made them keep their customs, right? And today you see us keeping the customs even today. Now, to fit their narrative of that God loves everybody and not only the Israelites, they're going to continue to push this Helen thing that it's not the Jews, not a Jew. It was Israelites, as well. And the book of Maccabees keeps that history. Okay, so let's start here again, and now we can read more because we've done a little bit of background. And this is all going to tie us back into these Olympic Games. Okay, it says, and there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of the Antiochus the king. This was the fourth Epiphanes, right? And Antiochus the king was the third, who had been in hostage at Rome. And he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks, which we saw that, right? Going into some of the Wikipedia. It says, in those days there went out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. Okay, showing you that there are wicked Israelites that want to connect and be at peace with the Greeks. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. This device, funny, pleased them well. Then certain people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. So now we're doing the things after the heathen, right? And here's the point. I just want to give a little bit of that Greek history in there as well, right? It says, whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen, and made themselves uncircumcised, and forsook the holy covenant, and joined themselves to the heathen, and were sold to do mischief. Okay? And were sold to do mischief. And what is the mischief? To pervert the laws, which was to sin. Okay? And this goes into that man of sin being revealed. Now, the place of exercise is called what? I mean, that's obvious. Matter of fact, all I said, I asked Google, I said, what is another name for a place of exercise? Right? It says there's several synonyms for a place of exercise, including gym, a shortened version of gymnasium, which is an indoor facility for exercise and sports. Exercise room, athletic club, field house, health club, recreation center. A synonym for gym. Okay? And that's it. Gym, right? So that's what that place of exercise was called. Now when you get into these scriptures, now in the blue letter, all I did was look up the word naked, and there's plenty of versions of it, right? So let's go to Revelation, the 3rd chapter. All right, we'll go right to that verse. What's going on here? Right now we're here. Okay. Right into that. Look right at the word for naked. Okay, and we find the word. Because this, when you go to Greek art, you find a lot of naked people. Okay, because this was the way that they enjoy it. Look, gymnos. Okay, gymnasium, gym. Okay, this place of exercise. Okay, so you put all these things together, and you can start to piece together how the scripture actually goes. So these places of exercise are where you were naked. And when you get into these Olympics, you see the same thing. Not only are they naked spiritually, okay, but they're also naked physically. All right? And the definition says properly, right? Unclad, without clothing, the naked body. Ill-clad. And it has to be ill-clad, meaning badly dressed. And that's what do you see at this gymnasium? Everybody's wearing tight-fitted clothing where there's no mystery to their private parts. Okay? You can see every curve on a woman, every bulge of the package of men. You know, and I'm saying it that way. And then you can even see more if it's, or things that shouldn't be there, by how they dress. They may have on full trans makeup and so on and so forth, to look like a woman, but then they may have bulges where they shouldn't incur. I don't want to say curves, but bulges where they shouldn't have them. Okay, and that's what happened in that boxing match. Okay, particularly. And they're promoting that whole ideal of that Greek custom. Okay, that whole ideal of the Greek custom in these Olympics. Okay, by mocking the righteous way that Yahweh Shai and the 12 had that the Last Supper. All right. How many minutes did that take for the point to emerge? Right. It says Yep, it says clad in undergarments only. Okay, and that's what you see. The outer garments or a cloak being laid aside. I mean, you don't have the outer clothing, it's just the skin tight clothing. Of the soul whose garment is the body, stripped of the body without a body. Okay, metaphor naked, i.e., open, lay bare. Only mere bare, i.e., more grain, not the plant itself. Okay, yeah, talking about seed or whatever else, right? Naked, bare. Okay, and it's all gymnos. These are all scriptures. Okay, nude. Okay, you see it? All right. Have a Hebrew word that's with it too. Septuagint, right? But you see how they do it? All right. All right, so I did Abomination of Desolation. Appears in the book of Daniel, right? describes the pagan sacrifices that replaced the Jewish temple's twice daily offering in the 2nd century BC. Okay, what is it talking about? Basically, it's talking about sacrificing swine's flesh and all types of abominable meats that you aren't supposed to do have in the temple. Okay, and they were doing that even back in the time of it says it here in 167 BC, the Syrian king Antiochus Epiphanes captured Jerusalem and desecrated the temple by sacrificing a pig to Zeus on an altar. No, on the altar. This is considered the abomination of desolation. Some say that the abomination of desolation is a warning about the future and that it marks the beginning of the Great Tribulation period. Others say that the abomination of desolation has 3 phases, with the third and final phase occurring in the last days before Yahweh's second coming, which is all going to come around again. Okay, you start hitting other scriptures, you start seeing what's happening in these different time periods. So we know they did it back in the time of the Greeks. We know they ransacked the temple in 70 AD, right? We know that these situations happened and took the temple down the second time. After the Babylonians had taken it down, and they built it back up in the time of the Persians and the Medes. Okay, then the Greeks came and just ran through it and just treated it unholy. And that's what we're seeing here in the book of the Maccabees. Okay, it says right here, yep, I'll start right here. 19, First Maccabees 1 and 19. Thus they got the strong cities in the land of Egypt, and he took the spoils thereof. And after that Antiochus had smitten Egypt, he returned again in 143rd year and went up against Israel. Funny, 143rd year, right? And Jerusalem with a great multitude, and entered proudly into the sanctuary, and took away the golden altar, and the candlestick of light, and all the vessels thereof, and the table of showbread, and the pouring vessels, and the vials, and the golden censers, and the censers of gold, and the veil, and the crown, and the golden ornaments that were before the temple, which he pulled off. He took also the silver and gold and the precious vessels. He took the hidden treasures which he found. And when he had taken them away, he went into his own land, having made a great massacre, and spoken very proudly. Okay, and there was great mourning in Israel in every place where they were, so that the princes and elders mourned, the virgins and young men were made feeble, and the beauty of women was changed. Okay, every bridegroom took up lamentation, and she that sat in the marriage chamber was in heaviness. Because it was just murder, man. They just went through and just killed people and changed everything. Said the land was so moved for the inhabitants thereof, and all the house of Jacob was covered with confusion. Okay? And we know that this is the southern kingdom that is still in the land. Back then, the northern had already went to the Americas by that point. All right? And when you get into this, man, it really... And this lines right up with secular history. And after 2 years fully expired, the king sent his chief collector to tribute into the cities of Judah, who came unto Jerusalem with a great multitude. And it said that in the secular history of the AI overview, showing that Philip of Macedon and even Epiphanes went through and reigned and set places of tribute. This is lining right up. All right, and spake peaceable words unto them, but was full of deceit. For when they had given him credence, he fell suddenly upon the city and smote it very sore, and destroyed much people of Israel. Okay, when he had taken the spoil of the city, he set it on fire. Okay, and they found that as light. Okay, Helen. And pulled down the houses and walls thereof on every side. Okay, but the women and children took they captive and possessed the cattle. Then builded they the city of David with a great and strong wall and with mighty towers, and made it a stronghold for them. And they put therein a sinful nation, wicked men, and fortified themselves therein. All right. And they stored it also with armor and victuals, right? Victuals. And they had, and when they had gathered together the spoils of Jerusalem, they laid them up there, so they became a sore snare. For it was a place to lie in wait against the sanctuary, and an evil adversary to Israel. The city of David became an evil sanctuary. And you wonder why now the third temple being built is a spiritual temple within the people. Okay, particularly starting within the elect. All right. We're not going to do this physical wood and stone temple worship, place of worship again. Okay. So all them churches that y'all be setting up out there, you pastors and whatever else, the Lord ain't dealing with that no more. You know, that's in the book of Acts. They have it a couple times in there. The 7th chapter, 48, and I think the 17th chapter, the 24th verse. Right? It says, and thus shed innocent blood on every side of the sanctuary and defiled it. Okay? Insomuch that the inhabitants of Jerusalem fled because of them, whereupon the city was made an habitation of strangers, and became strange to those that were born in her. Had they become strange to those that were born in her? They took away the customs, which is about to say. Because they scared people away from the city and away from the ordinances that we practiced in the Holy Land. Okay? Particularly at the sanctuary. It says, and strange, and became strange to those, and that's where that Helen comes in. That's why you find like the Syrophoenician woman was actually a Jake and her daughter, right? That's why Yahushua healed her, and became strange to those that were born in her, and her own children left her. Her sanctuary was laid waste like a wilderness. Her feasts were turned into mourning, her Sabbaths into reproach, her honor into contempt. Okay, to the point that, hey, this is going to come around again. Because when a lot of you people out there that are picking up on this Hebrew Israelite thing, you Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans picking up on it, but you don't really have a true foundation. You don't have the breath of life. You wasn't given the gift of faith. A lot of you are going to fold, man. Okay? Soon as this enemy comes in like a flood on us, when your faith is supposed to make you strong, okay, you're not gonna stand on that. Okay, a lot of you are gonna fold and take the MOTB, you know, so on and so forth, to where you'll be ashamed to be a Hebrew Israelite. Even when you go back, when Peter denied Yahushua, you know, back to that moment, hey, they were persecuting the church. Okay, now there's no new thing under the sun. That's coming back around. But they're already setting the stage that they're going to be mocking and persecuting the people that believe in this thing. And they'll just do it in a broad stroke for now until they get down and figure out that the ones that won't fold are the true believers of the Hebrew Israelite believers. Okay, they're not calling it the regular religion of Christianity. Okay. This is why you got to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves, giving no offense that the ministry be not blamed in these last days, man. Because the days that we're coming into, the persecution is only going to get more and more fierce till they're pushed away. And we see Jake falls away with heat. When heat comes, we're going to see who's who. All right. And so I'm going to keep going. It says, moreover, and I won't read a lot more of this, but so moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and every one should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion, because they were scared, right? And sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbaths. Okay? For the king has sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days, and polluted the sanctuary and holy people. Okay? Look, it says, set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts. Okay? That they should also leave their children uncircumcised, and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation, to the end that they might forget the law and change all the ordinances. And this is what happened to our people, to the point now that we participate for these different countries in these Olympic Games now. Okay, I was gonna tie in the Quincy Hall situation, but this has ran on longer, and I gotta do a couple things. So Lord willing, I'll come back and do that other part. But let me get this real quick. Okay, so as they made all those things abominable, and to stay away from our own laws, but to follow the laws of the king, meaning giving the king of Greece honor, and sacrificing swine's flesh and so on and so forth, right? This in Second Esdras is a message to those that still believe in this time, and it's going to tell us what's going on in these latter days, right? It says, behold, the Most High himself, Yahweh, is the judge. Fear him, leave off from your sins, stop, go back into the original ways, and rehearse the righteous acts to the best of your ability, right? And forget your iniquities, to meddle no more with them forever. So shall the Most High lead you forth and deliver you from all trouble. For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle, with things offered unto idols. Okay, swine's flesh and so on and so forth. But they know that they got to come at the third temple now, which is the people. And they got your mind, the minds of our people even, and you can tell by the bread and circuses of these games. And that was another phrase I will Google before I close out, Lord willing, right? It says, and they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and in reproach and trodden under foot. Okay? For there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. So we know that this is still coming again. It came in other times, but it's coming again. All right, so let me get this bread and circus. Bread and circuses. Give them bread and circuses, and they will never revolt, is how the phrase goes. Okay, bread and circuses is a metronymic phrase referring to the superficial appeasement. It is attributed to Juvenal, the Roman poet active in the late 1st and early 2nd century AD, and is used commonly in cultural, particularly political contexts. Okay, the basics of it. What does the phrase bread and circuses mean? Something, an extravagant entertainment offered as an expedient means of pacifying discontent or diverting attention from a source of grievance. Okay, so as we're into these Olympic Games, what are we watching? Storms and tempests happening in the earth, economic downturn and markets collapsing all over the world. Think Japan is the only one that's going to be affected by this collapse? No way, right? We also see with the bread and circuses of the Olympics, the perversion happening in the earth. They're trying to slip out Joe Biden and slip in Kamala Harris. Okay, they're still pushing Trump and all the things he's talking about. Okay, so you're so confused, and people would rather tune in to the Olympic Games, supporting your oppressors' rulership over you, more than your spiritual enlightenment. Okay, so I'm gonna have to end it there. Lord willing, this was edifying. I'll give all praise and glory to the Yahweh Bashim Yahshua. To the next one, Shalom.